Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, December 2nd. Good morning. We're back. We're back. We're back. How's everybody? Welcome. Welcome to today. Welcome to a new day. Welcome to the best day of the rest of your life. Can I just speak a little bit as an encouragement to you? I'm hoping not to drop the stuff I have in front of me here. Let me clear my throat, y'all, because as soon as I start talking, this stuff just starts happening here. So good morning. Welcome. We are back. We are going to continue the Songs of Psalms. We're going to be focusing on Psalm 22. This is part 2. Yesterday I covered part 1. It's a long psalm, and so, it's not convenient to do it all at once. So here we are. We're going to work on part 2. We're going to talk a little bit about it and just kind of see what the Lord would teach us through this particular psalm. It's a very important psalm. It captured what was happening to David, but it also captured it spoke into what would happen to Jesus when he was on a cross. So this was a very sad song that was written, and David wrote it for himself because of the things that he was facing. But he also he managed to tap into what would happen to Jesus, as I just said. So I'm going to just dive into it, just get started. And let me just make sure I'm good over here. Okay. Let's see our comments. Welcome to anyone. If I don't catch you, if you join us and if I don't catch you, good morning. Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to just dive into it because these are a couple of verses that we need to get through. And, this really impacted me as I read it. And I pray that it impacts you as well. Okay, so starting Psalm 22, starting from verse 11, David says, well, first of all, backtracking to yesterday, David started this, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from me, from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? So he just, he cuts right to the matter. He goes right into it when he starts this. And so this is verse 11. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. There is no one to help. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near. There is no one to help. So David was in deep distress, y'all. He was in deep distress. And he felt like if God didn't help him, who was left? Who was left to help him? Because he had nobody else. He had no one else to rescue him from this situation that he was facing. And imagine for him to say, do not be far from me. There is no one to help. Like if God doesn't help us, what hope do we have? He must have felt like the loneliest person in the world at that moment, feeling that God had abandoned him and wasn't doing enough to rescue him, right? So this came through in this song. He had to let it be known. And, sometimes as believers, we go through these things where things happen to us, right? We're in a situation and we know that we have hope, right? We know that we have hope. We know that even if we feel like we're alone in a situation, we know deep in our hearts that God is there and that he will respond, right? So we know we have that. But here David was in a place, he's had a relationship with the Lord. He's known the Lord all his life. And so for him to say that, why are you far away from me? there's no one to help me, not even you. Like, if you don't help me, no one else is going to help me, right? And so sometimes we feel like that, like if God doesn't help us, what hope do we have? And imagine someone who is agnostic or an atheist, right? What do they do when they're facing a situation and they don't have hope? They don't have hope that there will be a better tomorrow. They don't have hope that they can depend and put their faith on something. Like, to me, that's sad. That's sad. It's a sad situation not to have hope. And so that was happening to our friend David. He felt like, man, if you don't help me, Lord, what do I have? What's left? And then this is why he was crying out. Verse 12 and 13. Many bulls surround me, strong bulls of Bashan encircle me, roaring lions that tear their prey, open their mouths wide against me. David is describing the people that are surrounding him, the people that are causing him this agony, this pain, this trouble. He's describing them as bulls and lions. And it's interesting that he uses a metaphor of like ferocious animals that attack. When they attack, they are out for the kill, right? When a lion attacks, he is out for the kill. And so David is describing the people that are around him as bulls and roaring lions, right? And what was also interesting is that he says, strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. And Bashan, good morning, Abby. Buenos dias. How are you, sweetheart? God bless you. Bashan was a place that had like fertile ground. It was just, very, very fertile. And so when David is saying these bulls from Bashan, right, he's identifying that this was a place where the bulls are strong. And he even said it, strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. Imagine. Thank you, sweetheart. God bless you too. Imagine to be surrounded by people that are, like this, that they're like bulls and they're strong, well-fed, well-nourished bulls were surrounding him. And he felt like the people that were around him were like this, that they were these strong bulls that were out to get him, out to kill him, right? And sometimes we're in those situations too, where there's people, it may not be a lot of people, but it may be one or two people that surround us, right? And try to take us out with their words, where the discouragement, whether it is talking about us, behind our back, maybe in the workplace, someone is surrounding you and being negative to you. That is similar to what David was saying. Like, these are people that are strong-willed, strong-minded, that are out, right? And roaring lions that tear their prey, open their mouths wide against me. Man, that is rough to be in that situation, to be around people that are so evil, so evil. And so that's why David was singing about this, because, he was making a plea to the Lord, like, where are you? Don't be far from me, because I have bulls, strong bulls and roaring lions surrounding me. So he's making his plea before the Lord that these were the people that were after him. And as I think about it, I can't imagine encountering such hateful people, people that are out to kill and destroy. But it's not really them. That's the thing that we want to point out here. It's not really them. It's the spirit behind them that is against you. Yep, Abby says people can be so mean. Yeah, it's the spirit behind them. It's the devil. When they allow the devil to influence them, they can be so hateful, so vicious, so ferocious that they would want to tear you down, right? And so David was using this metaphor of animals to describe the people he was dealing with and how ruthless they were. It's bad, right? And at some point in our lives, we come across people like this. We come across people, whether it's in the workplace, might be in our own family. In our own family, we might come across people like this. Neighbors, what do you do? What do you do? We have to find our strength in the Lord. We have to find our strength in the Lord when we face these kinds of attacks, because we can't do it on our own. We can't. Let me continue. Verses 14 and 15. David says, I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted within me. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd. I don't even know what that is. And my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Oh my goodness. Do you see what he's saying? Right? He's like, I'm poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted within me. And so these lines, even though this is what David was saying, right? Like he was facing so much fear. To say his bones were out of joint, right? Like this was physically attacking him. He was being physically attacked with fear and with dread because of these people. He had no strength in him. And so he was being poured out like water. He felt deathly ill. Like, you've ever been so afraid that you're like deathly ill? Like you're sick in your spirit, you're sick in your body, right? And this is what David was facing. But guys, guess what? As he was saying this, he was describing and he was foreshadowing the experience that Jesus would have on the cross, right? He was already talking about it. This is the same feelings that Jesus had when he was on the cross. And for him to say, my heart has turned to wax, it has melted within me. First of all, from a songwriting perspective, let me just interject here for a moment, if I may. My heart has turned to wax, right? Like, what a better way to help somebody understand a message by giving them a visual description of it. To say that your heart is turned to wax, right? Like you all know, you've seen candles, when you light them up, they just melt and they turn back to their original content, which is wax. Okay, no worries, honey. Thank you, Abby. Thank you for tuning in, though. God bless you wherever it is that you're going. God bless you. And just listen, I want to tell you to just have an amazing day, and you be blessed and be successful in all you do, honey. All right. Okay, back to King David. He was like, my heart has turned into wax. It has melted within me. He's confessing here. He's letting people know how scared he is, right? He's weak. He has no more strength within him. Whatever his heart desire was to be strong and mighty, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. He has no more strength. And he's confessing this in this song, right? He is singing this prayer song and he's holding nothing back. He is showing how fearful he is of these people. He confesses how fearful he is. And there's not many songs that I know that go into such detail to describe a person's condition. It's a fearful situation he was in. And he's like, my heart melts, right? My heart melts, it turns into wax. Okay. Verse 15, let's look at this because this is an important verse here. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Like he was already saying, look, he was just ready. He felt like he was dying. That's basically what he was saying. He felt like he was dying. His tongue sticks to the roof of his mouth. Again, as he wrote this, he was foreshadowing the experience that Jesus would face on the cross, right? When Jesus was on the cross, he said, I thirst. I thirst. Right. And so one of the guys came and gave him like vinegar. They put it towards him so he could try to, appease that intense feeling that he was feeling, that dehydration that he felt. Jesus was extremely dehydrated from the intense level of physical and emotional stress that he was facing. And here David he was dehydrated because of the fear. Because of fear. Have you ever been so fearful that your mouth dries up? Right? Like it does really feel like your tongue sticks to the roof of your mouth. I remember, you remember that storm, like, I can't remember if it was 2019 now or 2018, like the years just go by so fast. But, that snowstorm that came in November right before Thanksgiving, and it snowed, and it was like not even 2 inches of snow, but all the roads like were a disaster to drive on. And I remember I left work at 2:00. I think it was like 2, as soon as the snow like started. Well, not exactly as soon, because by the time I left, there was some snow on the ground already. But I remember I left the office and the roads were really bad. And where I worked, it's a little bit hilly, like not hills that go up, but, like little hills. And oh my gosh, let me tell you something. At that time, my Infiniti, my tires were worn out basically because I drove so much. I was always on the road. And so my tires are really worn out. But I wasn't about to get new tires because my lease was almost up in a couple of months. And I was like, why spend money on tires when I'm going to turn over my lease? But they were super, super thin. And that did not help me that day during the snowstorm. And the roads were so slippery. And I was going less than 0 miles per hour, guys. Like so, like my foot did not come off the brake. That's how slow I was going. And even as slow as that was, I tell you something, I was like slipping and sliding. My car, like I would stop and my car would just go like this. Like it would literally turn around. Oh my gosh, it was bad. It was really bad. And, I have to tell you, I had so much fear. I had so much fear driving because I didn't want to hit anything. I didn't want to get stuck, especially when I got on the highway. Like, I didn't want to hit a car because I was seeing cars stranded and nobody was coming to rescue them. And I remember my mouth was so dry. It was so dry. Like I did feel that feeling of it being stuck to the roof of my mouth, my tongue being stuck. And I remember breathing heavy as I was driving because of the fear that I had. Like, I just didn't want to get stuck. It was getting dark and it was just bad. I was on the road for 8 hours, and I'm sure many of you who are watching experienced the same thing if you were in the area. And so I just remember that day not feeling, like confident at all, but I just kept praying and I was like, Lord, just get us all home safely. And he did. He really, really did. He really came through. When I got home, I called my family members. They were all home. God really protected us that day, but the fear was so real. It was real and it was unbearable. So I can't imagine David, feeling like his life is about to end and that fear that comes on you. And still being a believer, right? It can happen as believers. We could face these situations where we feel like God is just not right there answering, but he is. It's just that we kind of think of it as in a different way. So let me move on. All right, verse 16 and 17. Here's what David is saying. Dogs surround me. He used a lot of metaphors. He used a lot of metaphors. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. Yikes. They pierce my hands and feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. Wow. That is wild. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. He's letting God know these are the people that are after me. These are who they are. They pierce my hands and feet. Where did we hear that before? Where have we heard that? He was also talking about Jesus, right? He was foreshadowing again what would happen to Jesus. They pierced Jesus' hands and feet. All my bones are on display. This is such a sad situation that David was in, but he was how can I say, he was foreshadowing again what would happen to Jesus, but what would happen to Jesus was 100,000 million times worse, if that's even a word, than what he faced. But it's the same kind of people, because it's the same kind of spirit. The enemy, when he comes at us, this is how it feels. When the enemy attacks us, the enemy of our soul, we feel like we're being surrounded by a vicious, cruel animal. We feel like villains are surrounding us. We feel like they're trying to kill us, right? We feel that intensity. And what David faced was the same type of fear that Jesus faced. So David saw in his mind's eye, he saw what would happen to Jesus as well. He saw himself being pierced by the swords of these wicked people, and it happened to Jesus. He says, people stare and gloat over me. And that word gloat is very interesting to use. Gloat means to contemplate or dwell on one's own success or another's misfortune, right? So when you gloat, you're either thinking very highly of yourself, you're contemplating on your own success, but you're also, looking down on somebody else and the definition says with smugness or malignant pleasure. So that's what these people were they were portraying to David and to Jesus, malignant pleasure to see him ruined. And that's what happened to Jesus. That's what they were doing. The people were watching him, the Pharisees, those leaders, those religious leaders that were responsible for putting Jesus on the cross. That's how they looked on him. And so David sang about this 1,000 years earlier than it happened. Verse 18, they divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garments. And so David saw these vicious people he saw them celebrating, right? Celebrating over his death and just, casting lots, like saying, who's going to get whatever, his breastplate, and who's going to get this, and that's what the Roman soldiers did to Jesus as well, right? They were watching Jesus and they were doing that to his clothes. They were casting lots on his clothes. David didn't know that he was actually prophesying what would happen to the Messiah. But he was experiencing that same type of suffering that the Messiah experienced. So we know that when we're dealing with a difficult situation, when we feel like we've been cornered by an enemy, by the enemy of our soul, when we feel like we've been cornered, we know that Jesus can help us because he's experienced that same thing. He knows what it's like for the enemy to feel like he's being triumphant and he's being victorious over us. Jesus knows, he understands, and that's why we can come to him and trust him that he will help us, right? Verse 19 and 20, and this is it. I'm going to end it right here. But you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. That was, oof, my goodness. Even though David felt abandoned and felt like the Lord was far, he still placed his trust in the Lord. He still put his trust in the Lord. And like I said just a moment ago, there's going to be times where we're going to face the enemy. There's going to be people that are going to come against us, people that are going to try to ruin us. People are going to try to, do whatever they can because they're so filled with hate and anger. But remember, it's not them. It's not them. It's the enemy of our souls in them, influencing them. And so that enemy has already been defeated by Christ. When Christ died on the cross and resurrected back to life, he defeated the power of the enemy. He did. And so if Jesus defeated him, he did so that he can defeat the enemy of our souls too. So when we're faced with people that are difficult, that are vicious, that are evil, that are wicked, remember that the Lord, your God, defends you. He defends you. He comes quickly to rescue. It may not feel like it's quickly, but he comes quickly to rescue. And so, we are going to leave that right there. And tomorrow we're going to pick up part 3 of Psalm 22. We'll talk a little bit more about what David was facing, what he was dealing with. Okay, now, I hope that you know that God is always on your side, that there's nothing that you face today that hasn't already been faced by someone else, and they overcame it. David overcame these dogs, right? These people that he called dogs, roaring lions, and strong bulls. He overcame them. Why? Because God was with him and helped him. And so God will be with us and help us as well. And I love that David wrote this psalm because he was depicting what would happen to Jesus, right? Like this was happening to him, but he was also I can't speak. He was depicting what would happen to Jesus. He foreshadowed it. And so we know that Jesus overcame, right? And so if he overcame, we too shall overcome. Amen. Y'all know there's a song about that we shall overcome. All right, guys. That's it. That's all I have. That is all I have for today. May you be blessed. May everything that you do today succeed. May everything you put your hand to do today, give it to the Lord first. He will cause your plans to succeed. All right. I will see you here back tomorrow. God willing, I will see you back tomorrow, Friday, and we'll go over the rest of this. And don't forget to check out my link in the description. Coming soon, we have the worship center coming to Patterson. And just check out my website and learn about it. And if you want to get involved, I'd love to have you involved. All right. God bless you guys. Have a blessed day. Mwah. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.